this context, could you share your perspective on where the social sector or community-driven initiatives can have the greatest impact in addressing that digital inclusion?
Thank you very much for that question. I think if you listen carefully from previous speakers, my question has been answered, but I will paraphrase it so that we'll get the context proper. Do I believe that social sector and community initiatives are very relevant? Yes, I do. We are all responsible for what is happening. I mean, climate change does not happen in a vacuum. We manage the land resources, we promote the participation and economic development. And in our process of doing this, we are causing a lot of harms. The world, globally is moving towards technological advancement. And once we do, like recently, we are now trying to go to the 5th generation. That is 5G. Who knows? After 2-3 years, we'll go for the 7th generation. Whilst we are advancing, we leave behind a lot of electrical and electronic waste. Like the DRR said, in the process of development, we have to be careful how to manage the waste. We all know that waste is a crisis because currently we have 5 garbage accumulated in the different oceans, and the largest of these is the one in the North Pacific. And do you know how large it is? It is 1.6 million kilometers. To put it into perspective, that is just like 3 times the size of France. The other speaker said, in 2030, we will be having 82 million tons of waste. Do we have a strategy to manage it? Are we thinking of a strategy? I think if we do not have a strategy, then that is an existential threat to the life on Earth. Now, coming to your question proper, social sectors and community initiatives have very big role to play. And I will just mention, without wasting your time, 6 key areas that we need these sectors to consider. One is technological advancements, training. And the second is gender equity. The third is local initiative or local innovations, and promoting social advancement that can benefit us and also take care of our environment, and also looking at the future, like the team is saying. So, what I mean by that, if we come to the community level where most of us work, we actually see the impact. And in countries that are low income, they feel the pinch of it most. Because one, they don't have regulations for e-waste management. They don't even have the structure, let alone to talk about the finance. So these are critical things that we need to look at if we are to properly manage e-waste. For women or the less privileged or marginalized, we need to consider them and also think about targeted programs. For instance, people with disability, because the digital divide is very large. People in the advanced country are far ahead of other countries. But you know what? The waste that is generated, 99.9% of it is mismanaged or poorly managed, especially in developing countries. So if we don't have a strategy to be able to manage it, I think we are doomed for failure. I will stop here for now and wait for the next question. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdurrahman. And indeed, strategy, frameworks, training, programs, all need to be put in place. And it's a good segue. Maybe Dr. Siad, could you maybe summarize for us one of the latest and greatest initiatives of the DCO in terms of addressing e-waste management for its member states?
Yeah, thank you very much asking this question. As I explained that DCO is working on the initiative e-waste management. As you see that globally there is an increase of digital devices use. The managing of these devices needs care attractions, how basically we save the environmental aspect, how we save the public health aspects. And my colleagues and our panelists and our speakers explained that about the global world is predicting to produce 8 million tons of e-waste. So keeping the urgency of this challenge, DCO introduced a project, e-waste management. And this is also a focus like our strategic priority that is aligned with the DCO vision. And our vision towards the sustainability is to promote the global sustainable digital economy. In this year, we launch impact we call AMP e-waste management programs to support the countries of the world, especially our member state governments, how to support them how to address this challenge by reducing the e-waste to create value from the e-waste and how to and through promoting the digital inclusions. The scope of this project is like to document and analyze the best practices across the globe. As my fellow panel explained, that in the developing countries, this is a challenge that there should be a regulatory measure, there should be a strategy, there should be a, like financial measures. So while keeping this, so we also benchmark the global best practices, how we take these practices as example to our member states, and we co-create a framework that support the governments to tackle the e-waste management. We did not only like develop this theoretical framework, we also test it, validate it, this framework within our member states, and is in the final stage. So this is overall the scope of the framework, the overall project. I just highlight some statements about of the framework. So basically, this framework consists of four main pillars that cover over. I think like when I hear the panelists from the UNDP and others, so like they read our framework. So all these our pillar is so holistic that cover all these items that discussed in this panel by the panelists, by the speakers. Definitely it's covered the policy, e-waste policy, regulation and enforcement. We also covered somehow the financial instruments. What exactly mean by financial instruments? It's mentioned the financial mechanism, particularly the taxations, the incentives and the trainings. Because this is the one that you can generate the funds. That is the need of the developing countries and the developing regions. And definitely, we also encourage the private sector to leverage their investment in the e-waste management as well. So another important pillar is the human capital and awareness. When there is awareness about the e-waste aspects, so definitely you have a better collection of e-waste at country level, at city levels. And it is also important to create awareness how to manage these e-waste processes because cities like civic participation, whether it's a policy, whether it's an initiative, whether it's a program, where everything, civic participation is very important, and how they know there is a dire need of awareness. Last and the component is to the infrastructure and technology. Definitely, to manage the e-waste effectively, the countries, particularly the DCO member states, needs a state-of-the-art physical and the technological-based infrastructure to meet the needs to how to process, how to gather, how to analyze, how to recycle. So our framework is like country agnostic. It's cover all the value chain, e-waste value chain. It's very simple, easy to implement. Thank you very much for this question.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Siad, and thank you for thank you, and thank you for sharing those key elements with us. Now, Hiroki-san, if from your perspective, out of the different elements which were mentioned by Dr. Siad, what are some of the most important things that government should prioritize when it comes to establishing the e-waste management systems, based on your experience?
Thank you so much for the questions. Maybe many things are already discussed, but I would say the building partnership is the most important thing for me, because identifying like national and local actors in the country and expanding the partnerships with the actors is crucial. Because when we think about the waste management, we need to map with what kind of actors in the countries working for recycling on the ground. And also, if it's not the case, government can be committed to formulating the regulations that makes manufacturing companies responsible for waste management. So waste management cannot be done by only the government. The government, local governments, and also private sector citizens, all are in the waste management ecosystem. So we need to understand that first things, and also the local government is committing to the collection of the waste usually in the country. And also the government can incentivize the people and also the companies to promote the collection of e-waste. And also doing the raising awareness campaign is also important, starting from the schools and companies that provide substantial amount of e-waste in the country. So that's the starting point for the government in building partnerships in the country.
Thank you very much. Now, question to you, Mark. We see evolution, we see different priorities, emergence, focus areas. If we deep dive some policies and regulations, what are some of the latest developments and best practices you are seeing globally?
Yeah, so if you look at this globally, I think some of the success characteristics we see are scattered around different countries. That I don't think there's one model, one solution out there, or where we can look to one country and say they've got it quite perfect. Everybody has a slight adaptation. But traditionally, the characteristics in there are really about having financing systems which support the collection, the education, the transportation, and the ultimate recycling of waste. But let's not forget, there's reuse in there as well. That incentive or that mechanism to encourage reuse is far greater at keeping those resources in use for longer. Now, that's a feature which is more recently, more globally coming up, but I really think there should be more future in the opportunities for reuse. We see it in the asset management sector. You know, they have established commercial businesses which are successful, effectively running reuse. But how do we incorporate some of that activity into formalized regulated systems where it can be measured more effectively? Because from studies I've read and contributed to myself, we know it's happening, but it comes back to the visibility and the measurement of that. So it touches on my point earlier about data. And then finally, investment in quality recycling. So if we're looking at the very end of the value chain, where we see countries who have growth in their infrastructure, that's because they see the value. They see the value in creating that infrastructure to recycle the material, and that they have visibility that it's a viable business case for them because they can see the data which supports there is the material out there in the relevant product categories for the materials which they're looking at. And it really kind of helps them to build the structure, and then it starts to kind of self-feed itself. When there's material coming through, the infrastructure there to treat it, the economics takes over then. So we have infrastructure and we have the quality recycling, and it all complements itself. And we see that in the more mature systems, which differ, as I say. Most of the European model is based on the finance system, where we have the infrastructure to back that up. But there's also, remember, there is transportation and collaboration, which features in there as well. But that's backed by those different elements I've mentioned.
Okay, thank you very much. And that's, in a way, setting up that whole ecosystem is a bit of the chicken and an egg to some extent. Where would you say is a logical or starting point what makes most sense, or what do you see in practice?
Someone asked me a similar question a long time ago, and I said, if users, be that businesses or consumers, if they put the waste into the right channel, then it's going to go to the right place. Because it's essentially, we're putting it on a conveyor belt, and if that conveyor belt goes to the correct destination for the best treatment, then it's likely to benefit most stakeholders within the system. So I think that's an important characteristic. The mechanisms around that really do need to recognize all the different stakeholders. I particularly heard it from the panelists today. The engagement of marginalized people, established infrastructure, regulated organizations, it needs to work together. But they will only be able to work together if there's a regular flow of material, there's the incentivized or financed mechanisms to collect that material, so we need kind of established collection systems to start that. So I think if we start at the beginning of the value chain, if we start at the beginning of when waste is discarded, and we have collection systems, and then we can kind of recognize the collaboration through the latter part of the value chain thereon, I think there's a greater probability that will benefit the most stakeholders within the system, and that the material will reach the best quality treatment that it can possibly achieve.
Okay, thank you very much. So really the infrastructure, getting that in order to some extent. Good. This brings me to the last question to the panelists. And it's a bit of a rapid fire kind of question which we prepared. We all have a role in the e-waste management. You all in your respective roles, critical roles to do that. But on a personal level, there's also something we can all do. So if I can ask each of the panelists here, one action, 1 or 2 sentences, what can everybody do in this room today to improve e-waste management? Marilo?
I think that as an individual, I think that each of us, we can minimize the use or the e-waste generation, each of us as individual. We are using so many gadgets. I think that is something that we can start by. We are changing our phones so often. There are things that we are changing. Maybe there is a possibility to repair. So I think that we should work on minimizing the generation of e-waste. We have to think carefully when we need to buy. Should we buy? Can we repair? Can we keep it for a while? I think that this is something that is interesting. I would like to add that we can also think on what is the best way to separate, because some of us, we are not separating e-waste from the other waste that we are generating. This is a second action that I would like us also to consider, and this is important. I think that we can work maybe within our communities, within several platforms at the office, to have a way to separate this kind of waste. I would like just to finish, to invite us one of these days to think of visiting a country where UNDP has been working in hands with the government. I would like to ask some of us to visit Rwanda, where we have the communities really working in hand with the government, local government, the informal sector, the private sector in the waste management, including e-waste. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Hiroki, San?
Yep. Thank you for the question. So let me say one thing. Let's try to separate the waste at home. I often hear people say, hear from people say, like, my country doesn't have the separate waste collection system, and all the waste ended up going the same place, so I don't do that. I think it's wrong. Because if the government announced tomorrow, we have a completely perfect waste management system from tomorrow, so we have 50 categories of the waste. Let's separate.
It's too much.
And if people can do that, I think not. So, so in Japan, maybe in my municipality area, so we separate the plastic bottle by caps and wash the bottle itself and the label. So we separate three things. People can do that from tomorrow. It's not, I think. Not many people do that. So for the government, it might take long time to establish the proper waste management system, but people also take long time to adapt the system and the separate waste. So it's really important to get prepared until when the government can have the separation system and the collection system and treatment. So it's more, it's from my word. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Abdulrahman, I see we have 4 more minutes, so we have 1 minute each, and then we close.
Yeah, so since I started with the social sector and community initiatives, let me dwell on that, because we've already spoken about recycling a lot. But that's actually one key thing we can do at the community level to recycle, by separating those that are recyclable. But let me tell you one thing that I do, which I will encourage all of you to do, and to encourage your community so that it becomes community practice. Every electronic gadget that is manufactured has a manual. And this manual has specifications, how to use it, how to dispose it, how to maintenance it, and the rest. How many of you read the manuals? No. Sometimes we just read how to operate it, and that's all. We don't care about how to dispose it, how to maintenance it, and all the rest. But I will encourage you, because that's what I do, to read the manual from start to finish. Most manuals will actually tell you the component that is embedded in the electronic gadgets. If it is lead, if it is mercury or other earth metals, they will tell you how to dispose it. Or they will ask you to take it to the appropriate recycling companies so that they can handle it, because they are the professionals. So for me, for my gadgets, I've used this phone for 3 years. I think my wife has changed hers 6 times. So in the manual, there is maintenance. The manual gives you instruction how to do maintenance, where to take it when it breaks down, and it even has warranty. So I will encourage all of us who uses, the whatever gadgets we have, to use the manual, read it. When it is time to maintenance it, and where to use it. Because the manual also tells you the environment in which you can use it. So you can use it properly and dispose it at the end of its lifespan. Having the understanding of the lifespan of electronic gadgets actually gives it longevity, because you will abide by what the manufacturer has prescribed in the manual. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. As our organization name is Digital Cooperation Organizations, and we always believe on the cooperation. So cooperate with each other, cooperate with the businesses, cooperate with the governments. This is the way to bridge the gaps in terms of knowledge, in terms of resources, in terms of capabilities. And whether suppose there is a government is developing some policies to cooperate. So citizens, businesses should need to cooperate with governments because the governments prepare the policies for the business, for the citizens. So our narrative is to cooperate for sustainable digital economy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be very quick, I promise. I'd say both at home and in our professional place is think about when we're purchasing. At that point, the choices we make at that time, I think, are vital in what we choose to either buy, lease, rent, the models we select, the performance of the models we select, the recyclability, the potential lifespan. When we buy those things, are we making those decisions which will affect when that product is finished in our life cycle? That doesn't mean it's waste. It may have future life cycle. And also, obviously, when we're buying, we're quite often replacing. So it's that point, what do we do with the one which we're discarding, and is there the correct collection systems which I can place that into for both reuse as well as recycling?
Thank you. Thank you very much. A big thank you to the panel. Let me summarize a few of the key points. Number one, the government has a very important role in terms of the policies, the regulations, and maybe also incentivizing the development of the infrastructure. And then there's a responsibility of the manufacturers or producers to make sure that the waste is actually can be addressed in the right way. There's a very important role of society and everyone in this room if we think of reusing, maybe using some of the equipment, using it longer. And I think lastly, if you want to travel, the last takeaway is that we should visit Rwanda to see how well they manage that there. Thank you very much. It really has been my pleasure, and thank you for joining us today.
You know what I'm about to ask. So please, let's appreciate them. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So I'll also have a call to action to all of us because our communities are our organizations. Let's challenge our organizations to have yearly e-waste collection day so that we can dispose the e-waste that we have at home. I'd like to welcome Allah to come and give closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Thank you, everyone who have stuck until the end. I think let's end with imagine. We started with an imagine of a true trail around the globe of e-waste, 2 times of e-waste. Imagine that this is being recycled, being reused, and imagine that bright green future where every e-waste is being converted from an e-waste to actual devices, actual value added to our digital economy future, and for everyone to be part of that future. So I would like to end with that imagination and stressing the importance of the role of each one of us as an individual, not relying on others, but because the change starts from us, from you and me, from us being together here, listening, trying to be part of the solution, trying to have a better understanding, trying to be aware of the problem and what can be done. So I close with call of action for us to be part of the solution and to really build a very sustainable and inclusive future for everyone. Thank you so much.
Пожалуйста. Go ahead, please. Good afternoon. Let's wait another 1 minute. We expect some guests in our session. Okay. Let's start slowly. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your interest and coming to our session. Today's session is on the technology adaptation of conservation agriculture technologies in Central Asia, unlocking investment and environmental benefits potential for further upscaling. And today we will have, during our session, we will have presentations about the FAO and GEF project experience in Uzbekistan in upscaling conservation agriculture practices. And then we will have a panel discussion for discussing the 3 key dimensions: the capacity building, institutional development, investment potential, and the third is a policy support needed for the upscaling. So for opening our session, I will invite Mr. Ekrem Yazıcı, who is the FAO Forestry Officer and Lead Technical Officer of the project. It's a regional project, Central Asian Countries Initiative for Land Management, between FAO and GEF and the government of 5 Central Asian countries. The total amount of the project is $76 million, including GEF funding, implemented since 2018. And Ekrem Yazıcı is the, as I said, forestry officer in the sub-regional FAO office for Central Asia and Turkey. And he is also a secretary of the FAO European Forestry Commission and has over 30 years of experience in forestry policy and international projects management. So he is specialized in forestry policy, legislation, institutional development, forestry restoration, and biodiversity conservation. And he holds a degree in forestry, law, and environmental law and policy from the Istanbul University, Ankara University, and from Kent University, UK. Please, the floor is yours, Ekrem Bey, for the opening part of the session.
Thank you very much, Mahmoud. Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to join you at COP16 today to discuss the transformative solution for integrated natural resource management and climate resilience. On behalf of FAO, I would like to extend my gratitude to the Ministry of Agriculture of Uzbekistan for their leadership, for their partnership with us in advancing sustainable practice across Central Asia. FAO, in collaboration with our partners, has been at the forefront of promoting conservation agriculture and landscape restoration practice to address the challenges of land degradation, climate change, as well as biodiversity conservation. As Mahmoud mentioned, in Uzbekistan through the Kasim 2 project, we have successfully introduced and scaled conservation agriculture practice across 40,000 hectares in Kashkadarya and Bukhara regions. Farmers adopting the climate conservation agriculture methods such as zero tillage, crop rotation, and mulching have significantly reduced their input cost, save water resources, and improved soil health. For example, there is a 70% of the water saving using changing the traditional methods. Enhanced crop yields about 20-25%, and also reduced the diesel consumption. Building on this experience, the Ministry of Agriculture, with the technical support from FAO, is planning to expand the conservation agriculture practice to additional 12,000 hectares and upscale further to, in the medium and long term, about 1.5 million hectares nationwide. This is a very ambitious goal and require collaborative investment, including the establishing local manufacturing facilities for zero tillage equipment and innovative leasing mechanisms to improve the farmer access. Beyond Uzbekistan, as mentioned, we are working regional level, Central Asia, together with the countries to support the integrated land management, not only the cropland, but also sustainable pasture management, as well as restoration of degraded lands in order to prevent the impact. Especially recent year, we are witnessing more and more about dust and sandstorms, which is really impacting the daily life of the people. The conservation agriculture is one of the techniques that we can address the core causes of this sand and dust storms, especially from the cropland. Today, we gather to unlock the potential for carbon farming and sustainable land management. By scaling up this practice, we can transform landscape, strengthen the food security, and build the resilience of the ecosystem, as well as to increase the resilience of the people living in this local area. For this, as FAO, we are called for partnership, cooperation to put together our efforts to really support countries to scale up this climate resilience techniques. So we are here, we are ready to discuss and very open to the cooperation. And saying this, I wish all of us very successful site event. Mahmoud, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ekrem Yazici, for your opening remarks. Next floor, I would like to give to Dr. Azizbek Nurbekov. He will make a presentation on the conservation agriculture practice results in Uzbekistan under the project. So Azizbek Nurbekov has more than 30 years of experience in sustainable land management, including conservation agriculture. We can say that he is one of the leaders, main leaders of conservation, of upscaling conservation agriculture in Uzbekistan and in the region. So he's a really practitioner, and he is main research and practice focusing on conservation agriculture. And he is specialized in plant breeding, conservation agriculture, seed production, and range management practices. And he is a professor at the Tashkent State Agrarian University and supervising numerous doctoral and PhD students, master students in Uzbekistan and Central Asia. So I would like to welcome Dr. Azizbek Nurbekov for his presentation.
Thank you very much, Mahmoud Bey, for this introduction. Now,
1 minute. They will put.
Ekrem Bey already mentioned about this conservation agriculture, that conservation agriculture can address many problems in agriculture. One of them is that this is already mentioned about sand and dust storm. So through implementing or introduction of conservation agriculture practices, we can address some challenges in sand and dust storm. So, so now I talk about this conservation agriculture practices in Uzbekistan. So we can talk about the status and prospects for what prospects we have in the future. And in here, so we have a question. Can farming practices be improved which enables yield increase with no cost to the environment? Of course, yes. We can have this through different, these practices. Several, these farming practices can address problems of conservation agriculture in the region. So if we use diversified cropping system, so this is one of the solution to increase crop production. At the same time, so we can decrease footprint or carbon emissions, CO2 emissions, and also improving nitrogen fertilizer use efficiency can lower the carbon footprint again. So again, through using this nitrogen, so we can decrease this CO2 in general. So, and also if we adopt this no-till summer fallow, for example, after winter wheat harvest, if we plant the second crop, like a mung bean or this maize or any crop that can be summer crops can be used, and through this also we can increase carbon by 150% compared with a system that has high frequency of summer fallow. And so through these practices, we can enhance soil carbon sequestration. More carbon we can sequester in the soil, and and using no-till, so we can, in combination with crop residue retention, can increase soil organic carbon and reduce carbon footprint, and also through integrating cropping practices, we can increase crop yield by from 50% up to 60%, and at the same time we can reduce these emissions by 25–50% and lower the carbon footprint up to by cereal crops by 20–25–30%. And so here, so including nitrogen fixing pulses in rotation can reduce the use of inorganic fertilizer and lower carbon footprints. With the adoption of these improved farming practices, one can optimize the system performance while reducing the carbon footprint of the cultivation. So you can see from this picture that after the winter wheat harvest, we planted mung bean. So mung bean is a good crop. So, and at the same time, we can increase income generation, generate income for the farmers, and also at the same time we can stop soil degradation. We can improve soil fertility at the same time. Now you can see here that some results we have already obtained it, and we here published this new article on no-till crop residue management and winter wheat crop rotation strategies under rain-fed conditions. We have already published this in the high-rating journals. And from here that we can see that crop yield under the different crop rotation and tillage. As you can see, this in all the variants, conventional tillage had lower yield compared to no-till. And so there is no NT1, no-till 1, no-till 2, because there are different fields we have used in this experiment. And in all level, in the rain-fed conditions, our yield was higher compared to conventional tillage under the no-till system. And this phyto and root residues under different crop rotation and tillage practices. So we can see here that so phyto residue of under the no-till was higher compared to conventional tillage. Again, so we can see benefit of conservation agriculture or benefit of phyto residue or crop residue rotation at the same time in the field. And so we can here say that in the rain-fed condition, it is very important to keep soil moisture and to keep more water in the soil. So because we should efficiently use available soil moisture in the soil. So in this case, as you can see here that under the when we using no-till and we use mulch, so we have much more higher soil water or soil moisture with the mulching compared to compared to bare land or compared to without mulching. And also when we talk about land, this rain-fed, in the rain-fed conditions, so in Uzbekistan we use this planting time only when the heavy rains come or the full rain comes, then we can start planting of rain-fed crops. Now, using no-till, we can plant this in advance 1 month before, and at the same time, so we can keep these seeds in the 5-6 centimeters in the deep. So through this, we can get advanced from soil moisture, because when this rain comes, then immediately our seeds can start germinating. So here you can see that some results. So this no-till seeder is seeding in September 9. And then, so this November 1, so you can see the field performance of the wheat crop under the rain-fed conditions. So because there was 15th of October, there was a good rain. After the rain, now this you can see that after the 15 days, this field performance of wheat was very good. And so here that I can share with you some results. Results from this year. This year, under the rain-fed conditions, the first time in Uzbekistan, we got 5 tons per hectare using no-till and using good crop, this winter wheat variety, Kayraktaş, and then 5 tons per hectare, while this conventional till farmers, they got almost 2.5 times lower yield compared to no-till. So this shows that this graph shows that conservation agriculture not only good is from the conservation agriculture environment is getting benefit, but at the same time farmers also get benefit from these practices. And now this is this slide, the pictures from our field. So you can see that first picture that we start planting in October, and then plant germination in November, and then this is the March, and then all the process of this wheat growth and development period taken these videos. These pictures from these videos we have made a screenshot, and you can see that in that field we got 5 tons per hectare in winter wheat using no-till. So conclusions, main the conclusions that I can say that the adverse effect of climatic challenges on crop rotation, crop production were substantially mitigated through the advancement of these innovative climate-smart agronomic practices that synergies no-till, crop diversification and residue management, and have the potential to be considered as a critical land management strategy in this rain-fed agro ecosystem. So through adopting of conservation agriculture, this ecosystem can benefit from this technology. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Now, thank you for your presentation, Ms. Bekir. So this presentation demonstrated the benefits of conservation agriculture practices in Uzbekistan, and in the field level we see benefits not only in environmental perspective but also in economic perspective for the farmers. So they, with the higher yields and lower input costs, they are receiving more income per hectare using the conservation agriculture technologies. So, and I will summarize that this results that you just seen is the result of 5-6 years of the project testing and piloting in 2 regions of Uzbekistan. Thank you again, Azbekir, for your presentation. So next speaker is Mr. Muhammadjan Qasimov. He is a national project manager for this Kasilm project in Uzbekistan, and he has the background in agricultural economics and more than 30 years of experience in agriculture, and he has been working also at the Ministry of Agriculture in Uzbekistan, and since 2018 he has been working as a project manager in FAO. Please, the floor is yours for the next presentation. He will be mainly speaking about the policy, legal and institutional support for upscaling conservation agriculture technologies in Uzbekistan and experience from the project results. Please, the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, Mahmoud John. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to be here, to be part of this team and present results of this project. In my presentation now, I will present on integration of conservation agriculture technology into national policy, into legal framework of the Republic of Uzbekistan, and other activities in the framework of Kasilm 2 project. During the as it was mentioned, conservation agriculture was one of the main main topic of the project, and during the implementation of the project, project team managed to integrate, to reflect conservation agriculture issues in national strategy and other legal documents. One of them, the President Decree on additional measures to ensure food safety in the Republic, issued on this year, in February this year, focused on using no-till technology to rain-fed and degraded areas for growing oil and feed crops as a possible solution for providing food security issues in the region. Now, currently, Ministry of Agriculture of Uzbekistan is developing strategy for implementation in conservation agriculture on for growing oil and feed crops is in rain-fed, mainly in rain-fed area. Another document is the Presidential Decree number 5742 on measures for rational use of land and water resource in agriculture, was issued on 17 June 2019. This document validates the concept of efficient use of land and water resources as well as scaling up resource-saving technology in agriculture production. Besides it, by the project team, strategy of conservation agriculture has been developed and submitted to the Ministry of Agriculture. The new realized direction of the Ministry of Agriculture declares to plant of winter wheat in 1,000 hectares of rain-fed areas in each region of the country by using no-till technology. Besides it, in the framework of the project, we have developed a web application by using artificial intelligence for sustainable management, land fertility. Now we, in 2 districts of Bukhara region of Uzbekistan, this application is working. Farmers started to use this application, and this is one of the good results. Was one of the good results of the project. Besides it, during the implementation of the project, we developed by the project team and by the partners. It have been developing several maps: a land cover map, a land productivity map, dynamics map, a soil organic carbon sequestration map, a drought vulnerability map, and soil salinity map have been developed. In addition, a land degradation map of Bukhara region also has been developed. During the 2022 and 2024, using GIS laboratory equipment, more than 2,500 soil quality assessment maps, more than 7,500 soil agrochemical cartograms, more than 2,000 soil salinity cartograms, and other maps have been developed. You can see in the slide. Also, in the framework of the project, we demonstrated several advanced technology besides conservation agriculture. One of them, sprinkler irrigation. Sprinkler irrigation system for 10 hectares was installed in experimental unit of the Southern Agriculture Research Institute. Also, by the project team, by the specialist, technological map was prepared on the production of cotton by using drip irrigation and machine harvesting. Also, we have a lot of capacity building activities. One of them, the aquacrop simulation model, to determine and seek its input requirements and to solve different applications in agriculture, water management adapted to local conditions have been organized during the April 2024. Also, during the implementation of the project, we have conducted about 90 training workshops, and more than 2,000 participants, agriculture specialists, farmers, and other specialists have participated in these workshops and trainings. Topics were on conservation agriculture, water saving technology, salt and drought tolerant crops, greenhouses, seed production, and other. Also, during the implementation of the project, we procured and installed 3 GIS laboratories in the project partner organizations. Also, we installed 12 agrometeorological stations. These stations started transmitting agrometeorological data online regime, 2 data, soil temperature and soil moisture. Also, 2 no-till seeder and 1 laser leveling equipment procured and transferred to the project partners. Now, the project partners, they using this equipment for development for his activity. That's all from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Muhammad Janake, for presenting the integration of conservation agriculture into the current policies for upscaling the practice at the project and national scale. So from this presentation, we learned the integration at the legal perspective. So as you see, the presidential decrees and the ministry issued decrees for upscaling and conservation agriculture practices. And we also see the efforts of the project on capacity building, both institutional and technical capacity, including the different mapping models which help the decision makers to take the evidence-based decisions, and also the building the capacities of the national policy makers, decision makers, which facilitated the further upscaling up to 40,000 in Uzbekistan. And the next presentation would be from my side. So my name is Mahmoud Shomarov. I'm the regional program coordinator for Kasilm 2 project. And I have a background in agricultural economics and rural development, and I've been with FAO since 2017, and I specialized in sustainable natural resources management and rural development. So my presentation will be on the investment potential and further upscaling conservation agriculture practices in Uzbekistan and Central Asia, using the experience of the Kasilm project in the region, and also the additional benefits and potential for carbon farming as an incentive for further upscaling and stimulating in the region. So in my presentation, I will cover 3 major aspects. I will introduce in general about the project and about the practices of conservation agriculture. Then I will compare the no-till conservation agriculture practice with the traditional agriculture practices to show the main benefits and comparisons. And then in the final note, I will provide some information about the upscaling and investment prospects. So this, as I mentioned, this is a regional project of FAO and GEF, implemented in 5 Central Asian countries and in Turkey. And the main objective of the project is to upscale integrated natural resources management practices and technologies in drought and degraded landscapes in Central Asia and Turkey. So when we speak about the drought and degraded areas, and then this is linked to 2 UN conventions, UN Convention for combating desertification and UN Framework Convention for Climate Change. And this project is directly contributing to implementation of these conventions in these countries, in the project countries. So the Central Asian region is is an arid region, and during our project we modeled and we analyzed the dynamics of aridity index in the past 20 years, and this result shows that the aridity is increasing in the region. And one of the factors is drying up the Aral Sea. So in the map, you can see the 5 Central Asian countries, and it shows the aridity in the region. In this map, you can also observe the precipitation changes. So the red spots here are the drying or decreasing the precipitation changes in the region since the past 20 years. So here we can also clearly see that the drying up of the Aral Sea and also Caspian Sea directly affects the region in the precipitation changes. And on the other side, we can also observe the huge degradation of the landscapes. So during the past 20 years, more than 25% of the land areas, especially pastures, have been degraded in different extent. And so, as our earlier speakers already mentioned, the conservation agriculture practices have many benefits, and in my presentation I will make some comparison with the traditional agriculture practice, and we see it as one of the solutions for addressing the land degradation and drought conditions. And also, we, from our project perspective and experience, we also seek on opportunities for upscaling in Uzbekistan, and also in other countries. And as an example, the Ministry of Agriculture of Uzbekistan already adopting a testing pilot in the country, and 1,000 hectares are allocated in each region for testing conservation agriculture practices, and we aim to further upscale it in the next 10 years for the up to 1,500,000 hectares. And this will be covering rain-fed areas, 700,000 hectares. Then 500,000 hectares are saline and degraded irrigated areas, and 300,000 are undercurrent double cropping areas. After wheat, there is a possibility to introduce and use conservation agriculture, and in total it will be 1.5 million hectares, including rain-fed and arable marginal areas. So in my presentation I will speak about some potential aspects for investments, for attracting investments in scaling the conservation agriculture in the drought-prone regions of Uzbekistan. So in this diagram shows some of the benefits in terms of fuel consumption, fertilizer costs, labor, and chemical input using in comparing the conservation agriculture and traditional agriculture. As some of us know, the conservation agriculture practices, they have major three principles. So minimum soil disturbance, permanent crops cover on the top of the soil, and crop rotation and intercropping. So these principles, they have multiple benefits, both for environment, for the soil health, and also for the greenhouse gas emissions mitigation. So our earlier presenters, they already discussed about that, so I will not go into details, just to mention some of them. So from our practice, we have seen that it increases the soil moisture and also the soil health. Then we also analyzed the sequestration of CO2. So this practice, after the third, fourth year, it has a significant increase in the sequestration, and also the increasing yields, specifically in the rain-fed dry areas, was observed during the project period. And also, I would add that in Uzbekistan specifically, there are saline areas where the water resources are used extensively for washing the salinity. And for 1 hectare, after the season, 3,500 metric cubes of water is used per hectare to wash the soil. So it's 3 times washing the soil on the field. And after the third year, we observed that this water consumption reduced by 70%. So instead of washing the soil salinity 3 times, it reduced by 1 time. So only one time washing the salinity would be sufficient to produce the crops using the conservation agriculture. And also for climate resilience in agriculture, it also has benefits. So for example, this top soil coverage by mulches, it increases the soil biota and also the capacity of the soil to absorb and sequester carbon. So now if we compare the conservation agriculture with traditional tillage practices, as I already mentioned, it reduces the water consumption by 70% by mitigating drought. So in the drought conditions, this is very important. Then we observed also in the wheat yields, in the humus content of the soil, nitrogen, phosphor, potassium. In all these aspects, we have seen the positive changes. You can see in the table, all these areas have increased after using the conservation agriculture, especially after the third year. So during the second year, it's not significant, but after third year, it becomes obvious that it has benefits. And some of the farmers who apply it in the field, they already started observing these benefits and started to converting to conservation agriculture using no-till technologies. And also in terms of the cost benefits and socioeconomic benefits for farmers, we see that there is a savings for the farmers in terms of machinery use, labor cost, in using water, especially diesel and fuel cost reduced by 90% in some of the cases, from 70 to 90%. And also, in general, farm profitability increased from 35 to 70% using the conservation agriculture. Here, the major change comes with the lower input costs. So instead of using the machinery 5 times during the crop production period, the farmers now using 1 or 2 times the machinery in the field. So that reduces the cost for labor, machinery, and the fuel. And this practice also has a potential for future upscaling and investments. We developed a 10-year plan for upscaling. And during the first phase, we plan to produce the zero-tillage seeders locally in Uzbekistan to be able to meet the demand, increasing demand locally and also in the region, in Central Asian countries. So currently, in order to apply this practice, farmers have to buy it from Brazil, from Turkey, or from other countries abroad. And it is very costly for small-scale farmers. For large-scale farmers, it is affordable, but for the smallholders, it's very costly. So this is one of the barriers, and if we are able to produce it locally, we will be able to cut these costs and provide and meet this demand for increasing tillage machinery, for no-till machinery. And during the first phase, we suggest buying this necessary machinery for upscaling in the immediate 12,000 hectares, which is adopted by the Ministry of Agriculture of Uzbekistan. And so it will require 60 no-till seeders, then laser leveling equipment, boom sprayers, residue choppers, and tractors, powerful tractors to be able to use this machinery on the field level. And also, during the same in parallel, the local manufacturing is planned to be established in Uzbekistan, and additional equipment to be procured to upscale it in the rain-fed areas, in total covering 700,000 hectares during the first 5 years. and it will require an investment of 150 million US dollars, including the building infrastructure, capacity building, and also procurement of the necessary equipment that I listed, including the tractors. And in the second phase, we aim to further upscale it to the next 800,000 hectares, reaching in total 1.5 million hectares on marginal areas and on double cropping areas. And we plan that the local manufacture will continue and reach 3,000 units within this second phase, 5 years. And in total, for the second phase, 200 million is required. And this includes also the infrastructure building, the maintenance, and the spare parts, capacity building, and procurement of the agriculture equipment, including the tractors and the production of no-till equipment. So in total, the investment is for upscaling in 1.5 million hectares is 350 million US dollars. And we see a high commitment from government side, and we are happy also to inform that last week the meeting between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Islamic Development Bank senior management has been organized, where this investment was discussed, and it has some positive already results we have positive results from this meeting, and hopefully we will facilitate further this new investment in the country so that we can upscale it in Uzbekistan and in the region by establishing local production of no-till equipment. And there are several expected benefits and outcomes from this investment project. So first is the economic impact. So this 10-year project will result in a saving of the farmers. So annual saving is expected at 285 million US dollars are expected to be saved annually by farmers who will be applying the conservation agriculture. And the total yield increase is expected 1.5 million tons of wheat and barley and legumes are the increase is expected, and also we expect the environmental impact 3.75 billion metric cubes of water is saved annually due to this saline decreased washing of the soil salinity and reduced the CO2 emissions at 2.5 million tons annually. And we also hope it will improve the livelihoods of the rural people and and create the jobs locally in agriculture as well. And we believe also that this conservation agriculture, due to the increased sequestration potential, has also potential for carbon farming in the region, and we work in this direction. FAO works in this direction. It is at the pilot stage, but we hope during this investment project we will explore it, and we will also facilitate further countries, let's say, policies and also the capacities to incentivize the government to create the local carbon market and for the soil carbon mechanisms. Thank you for your attention. So now we plan a panel discussion as the next in our agenda, and we will have several questions covering our presentation, and we would like to collect the feedback from the panel members on these aspects. So let me go to questions. So the first question is about capacity development. So as we see from the presentations, institutional and technical capacity building and farmers' capacity is very important in upscaling, and it would be one of the key aspects where FAO and the government will be paying attention, because buying equipment and producing locally will be relatively easier, but adopting by farmers and using the equipment on the field requires capacity. So it requires behavioral change, which is not easy and not quick. So the question to the panel is, what strategies can we prioritize for capacity development, both at the farmers level and institutional level, to ensure the widespread adoption of the conservation agriculture practices and its long-term sustainability? So we all introduced our experts in the panel. So this is the open question. So anyone who have feedback, ideas, please, Azbeke.
So this is the very important. Why important? Through capacity building activities, we can accelerate the adoption of conservation agriculture. So in this respect, I can say that now this in the agricultural universities in Uzbekistan, there is already a subject on conservation agriculture. So students are already taught on this topic. So many students are now, they have some, this knowledge about conservation agriculture. But when we talk about strategy, it is very important that there is a support from the government side. Now, this last years, the government of Uzbekistan started supporting conservation agriculture. So that's why in this case, now this, an example, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, when I talked to the farmers or the specialists on conservation agriculture or no-till, so they didn't understand anything. So it was for them like this something, this beyond their knowledge. So they said that without no-till, without no-till, you cannot reach anything. You cannot grow any crop. But time is changing. Now, many farmers, they know about the technology. So they have already practices, some practice on conservation agriculture or no-till or mulching or crop residue retention or crop diversification. So that's why now, so when start talking about the conservation agriculture practices, so this is not new for the farmers. Farmers already, they have a knowledge, some knowledge, and this is not because of this farmers started, using YouTube or this is different social media. But farmers also getting this information from the government authorities. Government authorities also started, talking about no-till. So the president of Uzbekistan, if he goes to some provinces, so in that provinces during the meeting, he also orders to the provincial level authorities to use conservation agriculture in order to save water, in order to increase farmers' income, in order to decrease this cost of agricultural production. So in this case, there is, but this is not systemized. Now we need system approach to adopt conservation agriculture practices, starting from farmer level up to government level in the policymaker level.
small. During the implementation of the project, we have organized, we established several demo plots, and farmers have seen real results, real work in the field, and then they started implement this technology in their own fields, and now this technology is becoming more and more popular among the farmers in Uzbekistan. But by step, we will have big amount of hectares. But now interest of farmers is increasing.
Thank you, Mahmoud. Maybe just to add that it's important to have a different strategy with capacity building with the farmers. Farmers are more interested with the economic benefits and feasibilities more than environmental benefits. So we do capacity building for farmers is necessary, may not be enough. You know, there might be additional support from government level, further integrate this practice to the regulatory or financial system. So therefore, it's to have a capacity building with farmers to train them, to provide them technical support about techniques. But when it comes to more institutional government level, it's better to communicate the environmental benefits, to link the root causes of the environment, land and water problems, and how we can address them through the conservation agriculture. They are all linked, like the dust and sandstorms. Of course, the conservation agriculture is applicable only for croplands. We need to also integrate it with the pasture, for example, how to link livestock issues, overgrazing with the biennial crops, how to provide additional support to also sustainably manage pasture resources. So these are all linked. Briefly, we do have a separate strategy for farmers, and we do have also separate strategy for government level to communicate environmental problems with this possible solution through the conservation agriculture. That's what we are trying to address under our project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, capacity building, in my view, is very important, and in the institutional and at farm level, and also technical capacity. And FAO uses also farm field school approach. So I believe this is also a very important approach to share knowledge between farmers. And from our experience in Uzbekistan, I see that the farmers are channeling this knowledge and information much quicker to their networks, and that gets the momentum, and they start to applying in the field. In 2-3 year period, the farmers are already, those who didn't believe in the system are already using them in practice. And another one is the extension service system. I believe this is for the government, is in some countries of Central Asia, it's not developed yet, but this system is also very important. It plays a very important role as a source of information for the farmers. So I think government should also pay more attention in extension service to raise awareness, to have an expert who can go and support farmers whenever is needed, so that they have this knowledge base where they can use and rely on. At the moment, the farmers, they use different sources, but the extension service, I think, should be also paid more attention. If anyone would like to add from the audience.
So I can
Yes,
add
please.
here that now this in Uzbekistan we have this agricultural knowledge innovation center. So through this center, we can also organize this, what you have said already, farmer field school, and also we can organize different TOT trainings for the farmers, and also not only for the farmers. We should train these specialists who are conservation agriculture specialists. So those conservation agriculture specialists, after the training, they can go directly to the farmers, and they can organize this farmer field school in the demonstration sites. So it should be also taken into account.
Thank you. So now let me go to the next question. So given, as we have heard from the presenters, this practice of conservation agriculture, and specifically the zero-till, has significant environmental and economic benefits observed in the field. And we have seen the results of the pilot in the 2 regions of Uzbekistan. And so the question to the panel is, what are the current barriers for upscaling the conservation agriculture practice? And we have a very ambitious plan to upscale it to 1.5 million hectares. So how these barriers can be addressed, and for future sustainability of this of upscaling in the country?
So the first barrier is the mindset. So still, many farmers, they say that if there is no till, no crop, no yield. So that's why if we say that, so if you use no till, so you can have this similar yield, or this comparable yield compared to conventional tillage, but they don't believe. This is the first. The second barrier is there is less knowledge products. For example, if farmers willing to get some information about conservation agriculture, they cannot get easily from these knowledge products about conservation agriculture, how to use, how to start, when to start, what kind of planting system they should be, what kind of no-till seeders they should use, or what kind of laser leveling. No, these products are not really available. And then next, this barrier is this equipment. There is no this available equipment. So with only no-till seeder, we cannot achieve our this ambitious, ambitious results. Why? So with no-till seeder, and in this case, we should also have this good boom sprayers. So, and also good rotation system. We should also study this rotation system. Is this rotation system is good for the farmers? We cannot just saying that, so through rotation, so if you use this rotation, so you can get benefit. But no, here there is another question comes from the farmers. Is there any market for this crop? If there is no market, so we cannot just to say farmers that, so you can use this rotation system. So it should be also studied. And also, farmers, they have already their own equipment. So own equipment for the conventional tillage system. in this case, so farmers not willing to invest for the adoption of conservation, because to adoption they should also make investment, the farmers. This is the another barrier. And also there is in our region, in Central Asia, I can say, all the countries, this including Turkmenistan, including Kazakhstan, or Kyrgyzstan, or Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, crop residue. After the winter wheat harvest, farmers willing to collect the straw or this feed to feed for their these animals. So this is also one barrier, because in conservation agriculture we need a clear, this picture or clear principles that we should leave the crop residue in the field. So, and now this the last this barrier, I can say that this willingness of policymakers. In Uzbekistan now it's okay, but in the high level, so they started talking about this conservation agriculture. Now they are trying to adopt conservation agriculture practices in our region. So that's why these are the main these barriers. So if we overcome these barriers, then conservation agriculture can adoption of conservation agriculture can accelerate in Uzbekistan.
Thank you. Other panelists, they have maybe some additional feedback?
No,
please.
Aziz did cover, as he's working very well. Maybe one issue that I like to highlight, one, as a project team, as FAO, as a project team, we can take the risk to be the innovator, to demonstrate, to prevent any risk of mindset, to show that this feasible things. This is one part that we can cover, we are demonstrating. The difficulties is, whatever we propose should be sustainable, like equipment issues, one option. We need to propose a feasible, economically feasible option for farmers, if we need them to continue with this practice after our intervention. This is one issue that we need to really focus on it. The other issue is, as you mentioned, integration with the pasture, for example, crop residues. If I introduce conservation agriculture, but if I create much more overgrazing issues, because we need also low input grazing livestock. If we do not have fodder or crop residues, that means that we should have more grazing, which will have also degradation in grazing land. While we are preventing, let's say, degradation over the cropland, we might create problem under the grazing land. So, as I mentioned, we need to have a very integrated approach and balanced approach between crop and pasture management, especially in Central Asia. These are the two key production landscape. Of course, there is also forest issue. I don't like to touch the restoration, but these two issues is the main focus for us to focus.
Yes, of course. Ekrem Bey, you already mentioned about the pasture. So now this in pasture also we can easily use these CA technologies. So without this any tillage, we can make a seeding, or in some cases under the Casilum project, we have done this seed islands. Seed islands also these are the no-till, and then so we can seed this through these winds. So it can be also easily adopt through conservation agriculture.
Thank you very much. Yeah, from my side, I would also add a few points. Yes, 1 minute. it's also good to learn from other countries. For example, Brazil adopted the conservation agriculture in more than 90% of their agricultural land, especially arable land, and we can learn from their experience. And the two additional points I would also highlight: the communication and the awareness raising at country scale is very important to raise, to spread the information about the benefits, and this is also for the policymakers to be aware and to support and to have a political will to support it. And the second, which comes out from this one, is the supporting from the continuous support from the government, either with the tax privileges or through the let's say export privileges or the local technology applying privileges. So this support from the government, especially in the transition period, is very important. It can be also through the subsidies, and we also encourage the countries who apply, and we see it in the practice. Those countries who apply it, they have a very strong government support in terms of subsidy and other support. So I think this also should be applied if we want to scale at country level. We have a question from the audience, please.
No, it's a question and feedback, and I want to thank FAO and the government of Uzbekistan for sharing their experience in upscaling the conservation agriculture practices in Uzbekistan. And we see that Uzbekistan is also a potential country that we all should learn from, like Brazil. And thank you for that. After implementing the investment plan, all 5 Central Asian countries will need to see and try to do these things in their countries. And regarding the barriers and in upscaling these practices, as Ekrem Bey said, the farmers are interested in only economic motivation. And if one farmer implements with support from government and with support from development agencies, implement such technology as a pilot project and replicates by himself, and he gets competition benefit among others. He will produce same crops for low cost. He will get more profit, and other farmers will see him. How can he do that? And this will also promote upscaling, because it is about competition among farmers also. But to do any change, any behavioral change, the support from government, support from development agencies in piloting and showing is important. And in this also important to have a good partner who will do it, who will also contribute, who is willing to do it. And if he will get good economic results, it will replicate by itself.
Thank you very much. So now let me move to the next question. So it's regarding the policy support and enabling environment for upscaling the conservation agriculture. So the question is, how can national and regional policies be adopted to provide stronger incentives and support mechanisms for farmers and private sector to invest and adopt conservation agriculture practices? So we already covered part of this question, but if the panel members have additional points to mention, please.
Yes, government policies, government support is needed. If we just analyze the champions by adoption of conservation agriculture countries, so these countries are first we can say that farmer-driven, farmer-driven conservation agriculture adoption. But for this, but anyway, the farmers are supported by the government. For example, I know this one example from Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan, the government of Kazakhstan, they supported farmers who are using no-till. So those farmers get per hectare almost $6. So maybe $6 is not per hectare is not big amount of money, but when we talk about the farmers of Kazakhstan, they have this huge area. So some farmers get some farmers they have land about 100,000 hectare. 100,000 hectare.
Yeah.
So and then if we multiply by 6, then 600,000 thousand USD they can get from the government if they adopt conservation agriculture in their land. This is the one support from the government. The second support is if farmers they adopt conservation agriculture, they can get these herbicides in in subsidies through the subsidy. So these are because of this policy support from the government. Now in Kazakhstan we see that almost 3.5 million hectare area under the conservation agriculture in the country. So now this the other so in this case this government support is needed, and then when we talk about in Uzbekistan now there is the willingness from the government of Uzbekistan to adopt this technology. So now recently this Minister of Agriculture adopted a order, a decree to in each province they should they support almost 1,000 hectare no-till winter wheat they should plant. So this support is already here, and also one policy support is for the this enable environment for diversifying cropping system. These farmers, so they should choose the different crops depending on the market. If these governments they support for this direction also for cropping system, then so adoption of conservation agriculture will be accelerate in our region.
Thank you very much for your feedback. Any other feedback? So if the audience have any questions, please, the floor is open for discussion. Okay. Okay, let me then summarize. So in our session today, we have heard about the experience of the FAO-JEF project in Central Asia, specifically with the case of Uzbekistan in upscaling conservation agriculture practices. So currently, under the project, with the effort of the project team, we were able to upscale to 40,000 hectares. And now the government additionally already plans to upscale to the next 12,000 hectares, 1,000 hectares in each region. And this is a testing ground, and it needs further upscaling. And with this session, we covered some potential areas where we can upscale and how much funding is needed, and also in terms of capacity building, institutional building, decision making, what instruments, mechanisms we can apply, and we tested during the project. And we are ready and interested to share this experience in the region, in other countries, in Kazakhstan, as it was mentioned, from 2008 and to 2015, the conservation agriculture started very rapidly. So they were able to upscale up to 3 million hectares. But due to the cut of some subsidies, currently it is decreasing. However, in the northern areas, large-scale farms, they are still applying, and they are successful in applying conservation agriculture practices. This is also something that we can learn. It is the, let's say, long-term experience that is ready in the region, and we can learn. But of course, these are the large-scale, very rich farmers, and they are easily buying from global producers from Brazil or from other countries, from Germany. So, but now the next step is to see if we can upscale in degraded areas, in drought areas, and also in the medium and small scale farmers using the cooperation and other mechanisms. So during this session, we covered some benefits and some environmental and socioeconomic benefits of this, and we hope that this project, this investment project, will be launched soon. So the discussion with the, let's say, deputy, with the ministry and with the Islamic Development Bank has been positive, as I said, and so now we have a huge task to follow up and to develop a roadmap for our partnership and further upscaling in the country. Panel, we also discussed three major questions on capacity building, on the policy environment, and also the barriers, some of the barriers for upscaling conservation in Uzbekistan. And we hope we covered these questions. And with that note, I would like to also give a final say for our panelists, if they have anything to say, and then we will close the session. Please.
Thank you very much, Mahmoud. Very briefly, as FAO, of course, this is the one project that we implement, supported implementation regional level, but we have several ongoing projects. Also, we are working on new projects to further support the countries to develop, to expand the conservation agriculture, even testing carbon farming in at least in some countries. So we are ready. We are still here to continue to support countries. Of course, it's not one way. We need also support from country level. So thank you very much, and hope to continue to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So here, so I should also mention that so there is incentives for the farmers. One incentive is to adopt conservation agriculture, is to adopt this technology, and also to sell CO2 in the market. Now, so we also in the another project of FAO, this folio project, we started work on this. So now this some these negotiations are already in place. But this is also good because now this with this carbon trade, so farmers gets almost 12 USD per hectare if they use only no-till. This is also good, this approach for the farmers. So in this case, we say that so this system approach is needed. This is not only just no-till, but this is the marketability of these different crops, and also this carbon trade, and also this this laser leveling. All this, if we put in one place, if we use the system to adopt this conservation agriculture, I think then so Uzbekistan easily adopt the conservation agriculture, as Mahmoud already mentioned in his presentation. 1.5 million very easily will be under the conservation agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you very much. As mentioned before, changing of mentality or behavior of farmers are a little bit difficult, but we are trying, we are working on it. In future projects of FAO, we are considering this to adopt this technology, and in the near future, we will have significant results on this direction, and we will have enough capacity, enough machinery, and other necessary things, and we will have enough experience on this direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for our panel members, and I would like to thank also for every one of you for your interest and for visiting our session. So I hope you learned, and we also enjoyed to discuss it. And the FAO team will be available in the FAO in the blue zone. If you are interested in further discussion, we are also open for cooperation and communication. So thank you very much for everyone. And so with that, we will close the session. Thank you.